Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, September 16th, 2019. Want to make sure everyone understands that NFL football is scripted no different than the WWE. And the latest evidence of that's undeniable was Andrew Luck's retirement on Vince McMahon's birthday, the CEO of the WWE, one of the biggest stars of the NFL. Shortly after Andrew Luck's father, Oliver Luck, who used to play in the NFL, became the CEO of the XFL, which is Vince McMahon's new football league. So, anyway, Freemasonry. Very much based in Kabbalah. Kabbalah has a core belief that God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. And I'm going to talk about tonight's game in light of this Masonic belief Kabbalah and the system of letters and numbers that comes out of it, which is Gematria. At the end of the game tonight, they were sure to show you this shot. Them walking around the field, the coach and number 42. And there's a lot I could say about 42, but for tonight we're just going to keep it here. Dog pound, the words that are clear on his sweatshirt. Freemason, they both sum to 42. This is not an accident. From college to pros, you will see the rituals that are encoded in shirts, especially when you pay attention to things like this, because it's this way night after night. Been proving this for years. And for all the haters of my work, every day I work very hard to put out very important information that helps everybody who studies this work grow and advance themselves in many ways, including taking advantage of rig sports. Today I gave people 3 solid picks, 3-0. Yesterday I had a bad day. First bad day in a long time. And by the way, my bad day wasn't so bad. It was about breaking even. So, that's a bad day around here. Haters can lie and slander all they want, but the day wasn't that bad. Just the first day that wasn't real positive, like going 3-0. That's a lot better than breaking even. So anyway, it starts with this, right? Well, it doesn't really start with that. Yes, we had the Browns to win tonight. We'll get to why we had the Browns to win tonight. But first, just want to talk about this 42 thing right here. The Freemasons. American football is credited to Freemasonry. Walter Camp. Look it up. Yale. Likely Skull and Bones. All the American sports are credited to Freemasonry. So are many things. Freemasonry is a very, influential secret society. Very well established. But their symbol's the capital G. There's a cipher where you just multiply the English alphabet times 6. A 6, B's 12, C's 18, G, the 7th letter, is 7 times 6, 42. Around the capital G are instruments of geometry. Geometry. Math. Math equals 42. And the G stands for essentially the grand architect, as the Freemasons put it. Architect's 42 as well. The grand architect, which is God. And they believe God, works through mathematics, geometry, sacred geometry. And it's set at 47 degrees in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, which is about how to establish foundation. That's why this nation's birthday is the 4th day of the 7th month, the nation of Masons. We'll get to that. And it's why the first Super Bowl was in the 47th season of the NFL. Super Bowl 1, Chiefs, Packers. The 47th season, not arbitrary. But there's another cipher. It's called Jewish Gematria. It's where you use the old Latin order of the English letters. Because a lot of the English letters came from Latin. The old Latin order and the way the cipher is designed is the same way base Hebrew Gematria works. Which is the first 9 letters are 1 through 9. The next 9 letters are 10 through 90. The next 9 letters, or you don't quite have that many, but you just count by the hundreds, 100, 200, 300. So anyway, in that cipher, math is 139. See, A is the first letter, H is the 8th, but then because, then you go 1 through 9, then 10 through 90, then 100 through, it just changes the values. So, Freemasonry in America. They both sum to 139 as well. Tonight, a big storyline was the death of the girlfriend. Did a video on this earlier this week. Her name was Patera Cordero, 139. Freemasonry's 139. When you run her name with the reverse alphabetic order, her name sums to 212. She died 212 days after her boyfriend's birthday. This stuff goes on year after year, these rituals. You had 2 NFL-related deaths. On September 11th, this was one of them. The other was a former Bengal shot to death at age 38 in the Bay Area days before the Bengals play the 49ers in Cincinnati. What are the odds? He was 38 years old, death's 38. The 49ers won Super Bowl 19 over the Bengals with 38 points. Super Bowl 19, here we are in 2019. They beat the Bengals with 38. You get the death of this former Bengal in the Bay Area, at age 38 right before the game. 49ers win with 41 points. Super Bowl equals 41. Tribute, rituals, this stuff goes on every week. We talked about these possible scenarios before the games were played. So even, when I don't have a good day, I still put out very valuable information. I told people the numbers 28 and 107 would be big on this past Sunday. They were all over the place. Even Adrian Peterson got his 107th career rushing touchdown. We'll get to that. So anyway, coming back to the game, Odell Beckham Jr. making his return to New York. The Giants and the Jets play in the same stadium. Odell Beckham, number 13. The score tonight, the final score was 23-3. 23-3. Like 233, which is the 13th Fibonacci number. It's also the 51st prime number. We'll get to that. So 233, very special number. Big number with the whole Andrew Luck ritual that recently went down. Today's September 16th, the day of this game. 16/9, like 169. 169 has a square root of 13. So what a day for number 13, right? Odell Beckham Jr. Final score 23-3. So 233, the 13th Fibonacci. By the way, the name Luck equals 233. The new XFL team in Houston equals 233. 233, the 13th Fibonacci. Luck. Playing on the team with the horseshoe. Andrew Luck, horseshoe. Both sum to 112. Anyway, with regards to 233 being the 51st prime number, notice mono sums to 51. And that was the other big storyline. Sam Darnold's out with mono. Something most people get in high school, maybe college. Making out with too many people in too short of a period of time. Something, teenagers usually do. So, Sam Darnold out with mono 51, right? You see how they did this? It's all scripted this way. And, by the way, before this game was played, we pointed out why they really had Trevor Siemian in there, which we'll get to. Why Sam Darnold had to sit out tonight, and why Trevor Siemian was the quarterback for tonight's ritual, who got hurt. Anytime the media emphasizes a set of words, it's because there's numbers behind those words. Feeling better, 223, 223, the 48th prime. MNF 3348. So is Sam, and recall last season, the first Monday Night Football game, you had a doubleheader. The Jets beat the Lions with 48 points. 48 points. And then the Rams beat the Raiders with 33. Notice Sam is 33 and 48. Notice MNF for Monday Night Football is 33 and 48. Tonight's first play to Odell Beckham Jr. was a 33-yard gain. We'll get to that. But just coming back to what they emphasized, again, it's all Freemasonry. Feeling better, 223, 223, the 48th prime. NMF's 48, Sam's 48, which is supposed to be up there. In case you're new here, let's go over this more clearly. These 4 ciphers, what they are is the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, so on up to Z. The 26th letter is 26. By the way, this is why there's 26 letters in the alphabet. The word God is 26. The word letter is 26. In Hebrew, the 4-letter name of God sums to 26. The Kabbalistic belief, God created the world through letters, numbers, and words. It's not hard to see who had this belief system and who helped engineer English to be the language that it now is, with 26 letters and the spellings that we accept. Because this code is used in so many important ways, much more important than rigging sports. It's used to rig elections, it's used to make propaganda every day. The whole SNL thing right now is this. Every day you learn this code, you see what it is. So, anyway, 26 points in the game. Special numbers. Freemason, 48 in Hebrew and English. Masonic in the Jewish cipher, 223. And with regards to 33, Cleveland Masonry Secrecy Order, they're all 33. New York's 33. Again, I always tell people, just pay attention to the 33s they put up. Odell Beckham's first game, they let you know, 33-yard reception. On this very 13 day, he wears number 13. His first reception of the game for 33 yards. You see? Night after night. After Cleveland put up 3 points and then 3 more, they had 71 yards receiving as a team, 71 yards passing. Browns is 71. Last year, they became the first team to be involved in a Week 1 tie with the Steelers since 1971. 2 AFC teams for another 71. So your 4 ciphers, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, just making each letter a single-digit number. So Z, the 26th letter. Instead of it being 26, it's 2 plus 6 is 8. You see, Y, the 25th, is 2 plus 5 is 7. X, the 24th, 2 plus 4 is 6. Just counting backwards. The next cipher, the reverse alphabetic order, A is 26, back to Z is 1. And the last cipher, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Can you learn these 4 ciphers? You see how they are used ritualistically, night after night. Okay, so to go back to the top here, here's what we were talking about before the game was played. Before the game was played, what we were talking about is this. Baker Mayfield, as a starter, could become 7-8 for his career with a win. New York 78, Cleveland 78. 78-78. And the man substituted in because Sam Darnold supposedly has mono is Trevor Siemian for another 78. You see? These numbers are relevant and used in rituals and sports with these cities, more often than you would believe when you pay attention. So, at halftime, the score was 16-3, like 163, which is the 38th prime. And one of the stories was about the death of the young woman, the girlfriend of the Browns player. And death. This number 38 always coded around death. Again, if you're new here and you think this is dumb, which I know there's always some new person here who just thinks it's so dumb so they have to leave a comment, I want you to look something up. I want you to go to my blog and I want you to type in Murder by Numbers poster. And it should pull it up. It'll pull up this right here, the Murder by Numbers movie poster, where E is changed to a 3 and B to an 8. So just 3 and 8, the only letters changed to numbers. Murder is 38 and 83. If you never heard the song Murder by Numbers by the band The Police from 1983, go look up the song lyrics. Murder by Numbers, The Police. Read the lyrics. Think about it. Notice Sandra Bullock is the movie star at this movie poster, 83. Killing, Death, R.I.P., they're all 38. There's a song out there called Gematria, the killing name. Gematria is this practice coding numbers into words. English is 38. We talked about the death of Cliff Branch, who played for the Raiders, and in college at Colorado, he died 38 days before the opener for the Raiders versus the Broncos, which they won. He died 38 days before that game, and he died on August 3rd, a date that can be written 8-3 or 3-8. Colorado's 83. Football's 83 as well. So anyway, 16-3. And again, to learn your prime numbers, this website, Gematria, if you go to number properties under the tools, and you type in 163, you'll see it's the 38th prime number. Number that's used a lot to code 38. And one of the storylines for that halftime, the death. Think about it. Trevor Siemian, the beginning of the game, when he gets taken out. Anyway, negative 13 yards for another 13 ritual. These are the halftime stats here. The Jets had negative 13 combined passing yards with their sacks in this massive 13 ritual, where the final score is 23-3, 233, the 13th Fibonacci number. You know, the Browns have 47 yards rushing at the half. Ohio, the birthplace of football, 47 degrees on the compass. New York had 58 yards at the half. They also had, Le'Veon Bell had 48, MNF 48, you know. But 47 yards and 58. Football, a game of rushing, right? Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, Secret Society, 58. King James, the Freemason and Rosicrucian who has the Bible named after him, dead at 58. You know? Unexpectedly. They let you know who the boss is, number 55. 55, special number. Numerology's 55. God's 55. Satan's 55. Remember, I didn't code out the language. I'm just showing you how it is coded. Boss is 55. I remember Bob Dylan talked about selling his soul and referred to him as a boss. You know. Have to go back and listen to that. So, night after night, same type of rituals. And not only the games are rigged, but, you know, at least according to what we're told, people are routinely ending up dead in connection to these athletes. You know, season after season, draft after draft, playoff match after playoff match. Yeah, go watch the video I did on this earlier this week, because there's a lot of important information I didn't cover. So, September 11th. Did I mention that Adrian Peterson on September 15th, 15/9, like 159, did I mention that he got his 107th rushing touchdown on the day leaving 107 days left in the year? Talked about this number in a big way before the games were played. You know. So, to wrap up, I'm gonna show you why I had a bad week. I'm gonna show you why I had a bad week here. But look, like if you're on Patreon, today I gave out 3 games I really liked. 2 in baseball, and I stuck with the Browns. I really like the Browns a lot to win tonight's game for the 78 reason that I talked about earlier. But tonight I really liked the Cubs to win. Cubs had an awesome riddle, undeniable riddle, one of those riddles where you can feel very confident. Twins look very good tonight. And the Browns look very good tonight. And, you know, there were some other games where we leaned the right way as well, but those were the 3 top picks. Just great, clear riddles. When you get clear riddles, you can hit on most times. And that's why I always tell people every single day, you know, don't be greedy. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what the clearest picks are. And, you know, use your own intuition as well. I encourage people to learn how to fish, not rely on me, you know. And I teach very valuable knowledge at a very low rate. Everyone who sticks with this, they stay up, and they're much further ahead of the game than the average person. So anyhow, Browns at Jets. The date numerology, 37, the 12th prime. In the notes, Trevor. That's Trevor Siemian, who was substituted in for the, you know, guy with mono. Trevor can get 12th loss on MNF, 37, the 12th prime, so perfect date for the 12th loss, plus MNF equals 12 as well. And right here, Mayfield can get to 7 and 8. Cleveland 78, New York 78. Trevor Siemian, he can get to 3 and 5 away. Browns 35. Do you know how many attempts he had tonight? 35 attempts. 35. Here, I'll pull up the box score. 35, what I refer to as the QB number. And 325 net yards. Now, I think I forgot to talk about that. That's important. How did I skip that part of the presentation? How did I skip the box score? Okay, here we go. So here's Baker Mayfield with his 325 yards. Remember at the beginning it was about 78. New York 78, Cleveland 78, Trevor Siemian 78. Scottish Rite is 78, right? Tonight Mayfield becomes 7-8 as a starter. American football credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. And he has 325 total yards. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry 325. What is that year? What is that number? The Council of Nicaea, look it up. The year of 325 AD. Look up the Council of Nicaea. Understand, all of this stuff that's being done, it's biblical. And it doesn't mean you have to be religious or believe in the Bible. It just means you have to be aware that the people who run this world, they use the Bible almost like it's a book of riddles. And in a way it is when you read it. I mean, Jesus spoke in parables. Those are riddles. What walks on water and is referred to as a son? So anyway, Scottish Rite rituals all over. And you know what? If I haven't offended anyone with the remarks I made, I don't mean to offend anyone. I mean to put information in front of people's face that they can think about. New Testament. I want you to see New Testament. Do you see the 42? 42, big number. The beginning of the New Testament is Matthew 1, which begins with the 42 generations to Jesus the Savior. New Testament 42, Savior 42, sin 42. The 42 laws of Ma'at, I shall not sin. That's how it begins. Math equals 42. You really think Jesus, from his time period, the names are things like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John? Does that sound right? The Greeks wrote the New Testament. European. Anyhow, math, 42. Matthew equals 27. It's the first of 27 books in the New Testament. You see? Well, let's go back to New Testament. 42, we established it. Freemason number. Big special number. Look at 66. Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, the concluding book of the New Testament. 27 books in the New Testament, 39 in the Old Testament, 39 plus 27, 66. Bible ends with the 66th book. Look at the 159 and 165. Scottish Rite, 159, 165. Council of Nicaea, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 325 AD. And what was the Council of Nicaea about? It was about getting the people who worship the Son, who consider themselves Christian, and the people to worship the story of the Son of God who died on the cross to agree and commit to one religion, one faith. It was the great compromise. And, they didn't call themselves the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in 325 AD, but it seems that whatever that was that did influence that, they've carried the tradition and the numerical significance. Because understand, these numbers are a language. And being someone who's decoding and trying to figure it out, I don't have the answers to everything yet, but I've figured out a whole lot. We can understand a whole lot. We've recorded these same patterns a whole lot. Book about it, thousands of blog posts. It's just the same thing that piles up day after day. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I always tell people, scripted from the final score to the box score to the hash mark. I always tell people. And it is. It's just the amount of tackles in the game, just everything. When you know what these numbers represent, it's just like, man, when the announcer's telling you they couldn't have scripted any better, they're not joking. And it's pretty obvious. It gets worse year after year. So, just making sure we hit every point here that needed to be hit. Baker Mayfield, 7-8 as a starter now. New York, Cleveland, both 78. Trevor Siemian, 78. That's the review on the 78 piece. The final score, 23-3. 233, the 51st prime number, the 13th Fibonacci number. Just in case you got here late, just quick review. There's a lot you missed out on, but just quick review. Odell Beckham returning to his stadium that he played in with the Giants. Jets and Giants playing the same stadium. Number 13, 23-3 final score, like 233, the 13th Fibonacci. Today's 16/9, the 16th day of the 9th month, 169 square root 13. Jets have negative 13 total passing yards, net passing yards at the half. Unheard of. 233, the 51st prime. The only reason Trevor Siemian was in, the guy for the 78 ritual, is because the starting quarterback was out with mono. 51. 233, 51st prime. Okay. So now I want to just talk about my bad week in football. And I'm just going to tell you exactly what happened. And, sometimes the good riddles, the good consistent patterns that I go with, sometimes they just don't come through. And, I have to raise an eyebrow. Like, what happened? So, Bucs-Panthers. What I told people before the game is I do not expect the Panthers to cover the spread. They did not. They did not. They needed to win by 7 points. They won by 6. I pointed out there was 6-date numerology. The public money was heavy on the Panthers covering the spread. I said, this is a good sign they don't cover. Now, that said, it wasn't a great feeling that I won, even though they didn't cover the spread and I gave out good advice. And the reason why is because there's a very consistent pattern on Thursday Night Football with the number 40. The first points of the night scored were a 40-yard field goal. Last week, the prior Thursday night, Aaron Rodgers got his 40th away win. Cam Newton had a chance to get his 40th home win. And 40 almost always comes through on Thursday Night Football. But before the game was played, a stat was put up. Cam Newton had lost 7 straight games. And all year in baseball, we've noticed when baseball streaks have a chance to go to 8, they've just been hitting 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. It's because it's 2019. 19's the 8th prime. So when that stat came out, I put up a warning for people. I said I always tell people to wait as close to game time as possible because you want to collect all information to be safe about your pick. So with an hour before the game, I came across that stat. I said, use caution on tonight's game. Cam Newton going for his 8th straight loss. We keep seeing the 8s. Cam equals 8. This could be the narrative tonight. It could even trump the 40 narrative. I know that they do things like that sometimes because 40 almost always comes through, but not always. And then when it doesn't, you got to go, well, why didn't it come through tonight? Oh, it's because they had this narrative, the Cam Newton humiliation ritual. And look at what happens when I type in Cam Newton right now. Look at what happens when I type in Cam Newton. Well, I'm surprised. Even CNN had a story about it. Well, if you've been following the news, they've been showing what Cam Newton wore. Maybe if I put an outfit. What he wore before the game. Yeah, this right here. People have been saying, like, what is he wearing? And then you got Larry Johnson, the former chief, coming out saying that Freemasonry's doing crazy rituals in the NFL. They got Cam Newton dressing up like a girl. They're killing people. I covered the Larry Johnson thing, what's weird about the day he tweeted that, but, whatever it is, the truth is still being put out there. This is what's going on in the NFL. It is a Freemason conspiracy. Literally. You can use the word literally correctly. It is a Freemason conspiracy, literally, and there is a very dark side to it, So anyway, going back over the games. Bucs to cover the spread, they did. Panthers to not cover it, they didn't. Now, 49ers Bengals. We had the death of a 38-year-old in the Bay Area on September 11th who played in his career for the Cincinnati Bengals. And then they're playing the team from the Bay Area versus the Bengals, who met in 2 prior Super Bowls. Now, because Dalton could pick up his 38th regular season win, I was thinking, well, that must be what they're doing. They killed a 38-year-old who played for the Bengals. Dalton going for his 38th regular season win. But the other thing to consider was that Super Bowl 19 was where the 49ers beat the Bengals, and they beat them with 38 points. 38. You see? 38. And what I told people is I said, well, I want to lean towards Dalton getting that 38th regular season win, but I said if Garoppolo wins here, you can go sign up from Patreon and see what I showed. I said it sets up a nice little narrative, and we could see a big Super Bowl tribute in this game. And by God, what do I always teach about Super Bowl? 41. The word Super Bowl equals 41. It just hits again and again and again. That's why we knew Brady was Lock City last year to win the Super Bowl at age 41. 41. And prior to this game being played, I said, depending on the tribute, the ultimate mockery that they could maybe even be signaling out of this game is Brady versus Garoppolo. Brady grew up a 49er fan in the Bay Area. You know, Garoppolo and Brady were both on the Patriots. They love to mock people with their Super Bowls. You know, the Saints, the Aints get their only Super Bowl against Archie Manning's son. I mean, that's mockery. The Harbaugh brothers, John equals 47, Jim equals 32, John 47, wins Super Bowl 47 for the Ravens, ending the 49ers' perfect Super Bowl record, which was 5-0. San Francisco equals 50, Super Bowl 50. What I exposed that year about the rituals that would be done, why the Panthers would lose to the Broncos in the Super Bowl, put that out in October, why Von Miller would be the MVP, why there'd be a Black Panther tribute. You can only get this kind of detail right about these rigged games with this kind of knowledge. You know, this is about more than just picking the games right day to day. This is about seeing what's really being done. So haters can hate all they want, but even when I'm wrong about games, I give people valuable information that allows them to see things for games ahead, get back on the right path, get nice futures. So haters can hate, but intelligent people do very well with this knowledge. You know, anyone who's already good at gambling and then learns what I'm teaching, you know, they have record years. And people call in every single day to my Patreon and make that point, you know. And they've stuck around and they've learned. Now, Chargers at Lions. I pointed out there was a great chance the Lions would upset the Chargers in this game. Good payout game. Why? Because Phillip Rivers could get his 91st regular season loss. Detroit equals 91. And you guys can look all this up. All this up is 100% factual, you know. I remember what we talked about this week. Detroit 91, just using the alphabetic order. Phillip Rivers got his 91st loss in Detroit. Okay? 91's the 13th triangular. LA equals 13. Look at the score. 13 points. Rigged. Packers at Vikings. I told people, you know, this game's all synced up with the death of Bart Starr, number 15. It's Rodgers' 15th season. It's the home opener for the Packers on the 15th of the month. You know, how are the Packers going to lose this? This is all about Bart Starr. Point out if Rodgers wins this week, he gets his 103rd win next week over the Broncos. Broncos equals 103. Broncos 103. Remember, Rodgers won 10-3 to open the season 103 days from the death of Bart Starr. 21-16 is the score. Vikings 37. 21 plus 16, 37. 37 points. Colts at Titans. Should have just kept it simple here. I saw that if the Colts won this game, they play again later this season on a date with 16 numerology, and their next loss to the Titans will be 16. Remember that for the game later this year. You know, I should have known to go with that because that was a good sign, but I saw that if Jacoby Brissett lost this week and next week, he'd get his 15th loss. Atlanta equals 15, who he plays next week, and I started thinking, ooh, maybe that's the way they're lining it up instead of the head-to-head record. So sometimes you're confronted with those things. Patriots and Dolphins. I told people in this game, Tom Brady can get his 209th regular season win. Even though he has a bad history here, I see him picking up that 209. It's too perfect. His 209th regular season win over the Miami Dolphins. If you don't know, Tom Brady has a losing record in Miami. He's gotten embarrassed there. But this time it looked like he was going to get it done. He wins 43-0. That game was played on a date with 43 numerology. Dolphins is 43. Florida's 43. Don't remind me of the election of George W. Bush, which came down to Florida. He became the 43rd president. His brother was the 43rd governor. His father was the 43rd vice president. They went to Yale, like Skull and Bones, like Walter Camp. But Florida 43, Dolphins 43, football's 43, Masonics 43. 43 date numerology, 43-0 score. Now, Bills and Giants. I hate Eli Manning. Normally, riddles like this are good. Buffalo Bills equals 117. Like how it just worked out for Brady, like how it worked out for other people this weekend, it didn't work out for Eli Manning. He could have got his 117th regular season win over the Buffalo Bills. He did not. The name Manning is also 117, so this number is very symbolic for him. And he lost. He lost. So sometimes you lose, you know. Sometimes you do. Seahawks, Steelers. Here, let me show you my notes for this game. Did I close them? What did I do with the notes? They're right here. Okay. I just want you to see what was written before the game because I give people information. I told people Seahawks have a great chance at upsetting here. They're the underdog on the road against the Steelers. The Steelers got embarrassed last week, So here's what I showed people. It's the day leaving 107 days left in the year, the 28th prime. Seattle equals 28 and 107. If the Seahawks win, they'll be 10 and 8 versus the Steelers all time. Pittsburgh Steelers is 108. If they lost, they'd be 2 and 8 at Pittsburgh. Seattle's 28 and 82. And I pointed out that this game was on Pete Carroll's 68th birthday. And the last time the Steelers and Seahawks played, it was on Russell Wilson's birthday. So I said, what are the odds? These teams have Super Bowl history, Super Bowl 40. What are the odds that these two games scheduled happen to be on the coach's and the QB's birthday? The Seahawks won last time. Looks like deja vu. And pointed out that if Big Ben lost, he would get his 28th home loss to Seattle on a perfect date. And lo and behold, what's the final score? The Seahawks win with 28 points. And this stuff goes on week after week. You get 54 total points. Russell Wilson equals 54. Pete Carroll came into this season with 54 losses. 54. Russell Wilson began this season playing the Bengals. He was born in Cincinnati. Special. Cowboys and Redskins, I told people this one was tough for me because I see the Cowboys winning the game. I feel like Cowboys are going to start the year at least 3-0. Cowboys equals 30. But I said Redskins got a couple things on the board. They had some date numerology in their favor. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes that's where you got to use this knowledge with your instincts. So I said, I'm just not sure about this one. Ravens at Cardinals. I told people I knew Ravens would win. It was about Lamar Jackson getting to 8-1. Cardinals with the alphabetic order is 81. He played for the Louisville Cardinals. He's going to become 8-1 as a starter in the regular season versus the Cardinals. Easy to see, but does he cover? Because last week the Ravens blew out their opponent. This week they're at home against a not very good team. Gamblers will be thinking, yeah, they're probably going to, cover the spread, which they need to win by 2 touchdowns. And I'm telling people, they really gouge gamblers with logic because these games are illogical. So I always tell people if you're going to bet spread, then make sure you're seeing where the public money is. There's websites that show where the public money is. Go against the public. Go against the public if you're going to do that. But I tell people to bet money line, which is more conservative, but when you can pick winners well, which we typically do, you can still win by being conservative and smart about your choices and build it like the tortoise. Texans and Jaguars. Like the Texans to win this game. It was about Deshaun Watson becoming 3-1 at home. Huge number with Houston all the time. Houston, 31. Deshaun Watson could become 3-1 at home versus the 3-1 versus the Jaguars as a starting QB. Just Houston and 31 shows up all the time. You get 13 points, the reflection. Now, Chiefs and Raiders burned me this week. Chiefs and Raiders burned me. Raiders, notice it's 74-38. Had Derek Carr won this week, he would have been 3-8 versus the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes would have been 7-4 away for his career. Big Raiders numbers that come up all the time, 74-38. Now, did you notice the score of this game? 28-10, 38 points, right? And if you watch the game, I want you to see that Oakland, California is 74 as well. You see that? 74. And this number shows up all the time. We do very well. See, that's the thing. When you play with this system, you're going to win a lot more often than not. Some days, though, the way the cookie crumbles, if you will, things that typically come through don't. And there was a riddle for Andy Reid. He had a chance to become 11-2 versus the Raiders in his career. The Chiefs took over this game when they were down 10-0 after they stopped the game with 1:12. And I was watching this game with the Raiders fan who came out here to visit me, and it was very disappointing to see his team lose when we really thought they were going to win. It was like extra crushing. But we just both pointed out, we laughed. We said 1:12 when they stopped it. We said, let's see what happens from here. And the Chiefs scored a record 28 points in the second quarter after their record ended at 22 games in Oakland of scoring in the first quarter. So after getting shut out in the first quarter 10-0, then they come back and score 28 points in the second quarter, and then there's no more scoring. But remember, this was on the day leaving 107 days left in the year, the 28th prime number. But anyway, what I noticed in the game, and I even talked about this before the game was played, how in 1974, Ken Stabler for the Raiders won the league MVP. Now, in this game, Derek Carr passed Ken Stabler all-time for passing leader for the Raiders. And at the moment that happened, the Raiders' offense shut down. He ended up throwing 2 interceptions in his next 2 series. They scored no more points the rest of the day. And I got worried, honestly, when they put up that stat at the beginning of the game because I was like, oh my God. Because typically when a player surpasses somebody else from the team, sets a new record, it's not good for the team that day. So, and these are things we talk about all the time. I tell people what to pay attention to because even when a game starts at this modern age, there's real-time betting. Bears and Broncos was a very tight game. I favored the Broncos because Flacco could get his 61st home win, which is the 18th prime. Bears is 18th. But I tell people, the situational betting, you can make your money back if you're on the wrong side if you're paying attention. I knew the Bears were going to win this game. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I knew they were going to win the game when they were down 13-14 after a miracle play even set up the possibility of the field goal. But they showed the kicker was going for a 53-yard field goal. He was on the team was on the 35-yard line to figure out the field goal distance. You had plus 18. 35 plus 18 is 53. So the kicker was going for a 53-yard field goal, and if you made it, there'd be 16 points. Now, how many points were scored in Super Bowl 53? 53, the 16th prime number. Prime numbers, very important. So what do you think is going to happen with this storyline where the Bears, they had a shot at Super Bowl 53, but their kicker from last year, who they got rid of, shanked the gimme. Might have been a 43-yarder, football 43. Have to go back and look. 43, the 14th prime. But anyway, they're making this narrative with this young kicker, Pinheiro. They're talking him up the first night of the season. 53-yarder going for 16 points. This is Lock City. And again, they're using technology in sports to ensure outcomes. Look at Vinatieri's last miss. Tell me that looked natural, you guys. That ball got sucked into the pole. I mean, they've been doing this for years. Wake up. Think about how amazing the technology is. Think about how you're listening to my voice in real time through some electronic screen, maybe on the other side of the world. We live in an age of sophisticated technology. To ensure outcomes in sports with technology to make balls go through targets, that's nothing. 53, the 16th prime all day. Especially in that situation where it connects back to last season, the year of Super Bowl 53. The Saints and Rams, tricky game. Tricky game. Drew Brees gets injured, number 9. His team loses with 9 points. The Rams scored 27. 2 plus 7 in numerology is 9. 36 date numerology. 27 date numerology as well. 27 winning score, 36 points. But the reason this game was tricky is look at this. Los Angeles. This happens sometimes. You're looking at multiple ciphers. Sometimes it gets tricky. Drew Brees had a chance to pick up his 109th regular season loss versus Los Angeles. He did. He got his 109th loss. But he also had a chance at his 157th win. And while you don't see 157 there, you do see the 37. Big number with Los Angeles. 157 is the 37th prime number. The 37th prime. Prime numbers can hit. So you had to look at it that way. I thought it was interesting that this game was scheduled 34 weeks after the last time these two teams played in the NFC Championship with the blown call. And then you get another one in this game. But 34 weeks later, you get this injury. Now go back and watch that highlight of Drew Brees supposedly injuring his thumb and tell me if you don't see his 4 fingers that aren't his thumb being what smashes into Aaron Donald. They show it from all angles in slow motion. I watched it so many times, I'm like, look, his thumb's not even impacting Aaron Donald. It's his 4 fingers. Now look at this. Remember, Aaron Donald wears the number 99. Aaron Donald, 99. His birthday is May 23rd. Look it up if you don't believe me. May 23rd, like 5/23, the 99th prime. Last year before the season began, I pointed out his holdout ended 99 days from his birthday for the 99th NFL season, and the Patriots were coming into the season with 523 franchise wins, the 99th prime. New England, 99. 99th NFL season. Patriots, 53. Los Angeles, 53. Perfect riddle for those two teams to meet in the Super Bowl. Patriots to win. Exactly what happened. And anyway, Aaron Donald, 99, right? Look at Drew Brees. And again, Drew Brees opened it up this year on September 9th, 9-9. It's going to be interesting to see what really happens here with Brees. He is an older man. He's going to turn 41 just before the Super Bowl. If his team competes without him, just imagine the narrative when he comes back. He'll be fresh. He'll be rested. Man, this could even work out to be a blessing in disguise. So, don't kid yourself. Go watch that highlight and tell me if you see his thumb get hit at all into Aaron Donald's hand. They show it in slow motion from all angles. His 4 fingers smashed into Aaron Donald's hand, which looks like it would have hurt, but it wasn't his thumb. And they're telling you his thumb's hurt. Doesn't make any sense. So anyway, and I advise people, I say, this game's tough. This one's tough. And a lot of times when games are tough, I tell you what, I lean the wrong way. Now, Eagles and Falcons. Falcons are a team that I rely on to give out the 25s when the riddles come. Carson Wentz had a chance at his 25th win. Falcons is 25, right? Falcons is 25. Carson Wentz going for his 25th win. We're talking about the team that gave up the 25-point lead in Super Bowl 51 on 2/5 to conclude the 97th NFL season. So, anyway, I thought Carson Wentz would get that 25th win. More often than not, when I go with the Falcons 25 riddle, it's coming through. But this just happened to be one of those days where a lot of the consistent riddles didn't come through. And because, this game doesn't come through, By the way, even though I was on the wrong side of the Broncos game, they covered the spread where we talked about the game of 2.5 points. So if you took the Broncos to cover, which is what I advise with underdogs, because then even that way if they lose in a close game, you still win the bet. So even games where I was on the wrong side, still the advice wasn't so bad. But the reason that so many games were, why this was a worse than normal week for me is because riddles that I've done very well with this week, they just didn't come through. And so anyway, finish doing this and then I'll show you how things came out. Browns, loved the Browns today. I said, I had a bad week, but I still like the Browns a lot. Their riddle's great. They come out and play great. So let's go through this. Right, wrong. So 1-1. Leaning the wrong way in this game, but advised that this game was a tough one right here. So, if you're listening to me say that, does that bode confidence? I tell games where I like it, and games where I'm just like, I let you know it's, Bears, Broncos. Broncos had the better riddle. Broncos did cover. The spread was at 2.5 when I advised that I thought, they had the narrative. And I always tell people, favorites take the money line. Underdogs, unless you're super confident that underdog's going to win, take the spread just in case it's close. Chiefs, Raiders, wrong. Texans, right. Ravens, right. Cowboys, Redskins. I told people this game was hairy. Wasn't crazy about this game. Seahawks. Thought Seahawks had a real good shot at an upset here. Correct. Bills, Giants, wrong. Patriots over Dolphins, right. Colts, Titans, kicking myself, wrong. Packers, right. Lions, said they had a great shot at an upset, showed the reason why, correct. 49ers, Bengals, leaned the wrong way, but told people 2 very real scenarios to look at, and by understanding the code, we get valuable knowledge out of the outcome of the game. And Bucks, Panthers, told people to cover. So, really, that's not that terrible. My advice was more right than wrong, but that's a bad week for me. And I'm getting trolled left and right. Got all these new people who are disappointed. They're like, I heard you got them all right. No, I never said I get them all right. But people who follow my work, they win consistently, and they learn to see through the rigging, which helps free them from the matrix. What's better than winning at gambling is getting free on your Sunday from the emotional investment of rigged sports. Truly. And then today, come back, give 3 solid picks, hit them all. 3, 4, 3. And I don't mean to code out some 33. That's not what I'm saying. But there were 3 really good games on the board. They came through. And we've been doing really well. So it's annoying to get trolled with disinformation and liars and slanders while putting out awesome information. And I encourage you to sign up for the Patreon and go through the notes. Just so many games, the exact numbers talked about, the exact numbers that came through. So anyway, here's the notes right here. The Patriots win both games, can stay on 54 losses. All sorts of valuable information up here. It's about more than just one game. It's about looking down the road. It's about seeing the scripted structure, what to anticipate. So, All these 43s pointed out prior to game, you get 43-0. 209th regular season win. Okay. I'll leave it there. Be back tomorrow. Support the Patreon. If you're wise, you'll find it a very valuable experience. Don't listen to all of the liars and people who haven't had success. Come actually hang around and listen to the callers each day who've had a lot of success. They're the people who stick with it. They're the people who are invested. You know, anyone who says otherwise, you know, I don't want to call people names, but there's winners and losers literally in this world. You know, 3 out of 4 people do well with the information I put out. 1 out of 4 doesn't, and they're usually the squeakiest wheel, if you know what I mean. So we'll leave it there. Till next time.